The first time I saw Ravanan on screen, I was astonished by the visuals and canvas. I felt it was far superior in terms of cinematography and storytelling to Endiran and Magadira, which were supposed to be the visual wonders of South India by then. The protagonist introduction in the film reminds me of Ayn Rand's Roar from her book The Fountainhead, and the scene where Dev's role burns Veera's face in the newspaper, where it burns for more period, reminds Ravana custom. And there are many more things to discuss about this beautifully made film. More than that, I'm risking here by exploring the work of a genius filmmaker who is constantly giving us something beyond the commercial cinema. It all started with Nayakan, my first non-Chiranjeevi film that I enjoyed like a ball. Like everyone around me, I couldn't realize what difference it made and continued watching films like Agni Nakshatram, Geetanjali, Thalapathy, Roja, Tiruda Tiruda and Bombay. And then I saw Iruvar. I believe Iruvar is one of the greatest films I have seen in my life. I went enthralled by the power dynamics in the film. The way the characters behave in the beginning and their contrasting behavior towards the climax is something that every artist should grasp and blend into their artwork. And then I witnessed the Chaya Chaya song from Dil Se. I'm not a fluent Hindi speaking person to catch the exact intention of the song, but I felt the protagonist enjoying the romantic pain of separation from his love was shot well. While watching Kanathil Muttamital's climax, you must have noticed Simran's jealousy towards Nandita's character and Nandita's character's uncontrollable emotions for her daughter. But on the other side, we have Madhavan's character who wants to save his family under any circumstance. When it starts raining, the way he holds the umbrella on these three people serves the purpose of his character. Who can conceive something like this? The name is Maniratnam, which means a precious diamond. Dear followers, welcome to Thoughts on Screen. In this video, I would like to discuss why Maniratnam is still relevant by exploring his latest film, PS1. There are even more successful directors than Maniratnam like Rajamouli and Shankar who beautifully balances an equal amount of art and commercial elements in their films. Maniratnam seems to be pushing the line toward art from the beginning days of his career. Unlike other directors, his movies mostly don't have the separate hero and villain characters. His heroes are a kind of anti-heroes. Whether Kaatru Veliyadai, Chekka Chivantha Vaanam or his early films like Nayakan, Thalapathy, Iruvar, there is always an internal conflict. That's what reflects in Ponniyin Selvan as well. Before I discuss further details, there can be the inconvenience of spoilers in the name of storytelling and character analysis. If you haven't seen the film, I would suggest not watching my video further. It seems convenient for the audience to see Nandhini's character acting as the main antagonist in the movie. But I see Adhittha Karikalan as one of the potential antagonists in the course of story progression. His instability and childish behavior reflect throughout all the scenes, and taking Nandhini's husband Veerapandyan's life and turning the righteous war into personal agenda change everything between Pandyas and Solas. The handheld camera position in his scenes bolsters his character, which worked very well for me. His character transformed very well on screen credits to the writing, acting and direction department. The way his pain transformed into a Sola Sola song and then into interval revelation with a master level background score from A.R. Rahman is splendid. It reaches its pinnacle in the scene where Kundhavai requests him to come back to the capital city. He accuses Kundhavai in the initial part of the scene and later shows his guilt to face Nandhini. This scene is pure artistic excellence, isn't it? I assume Kalki's Nandhini character inspired Rajamouli and Vijayendra Prasad to create the female characters in Baahubali, but they chose loud storytelling over subtlety. Maniratnam either followed or interpreted Kalki's Nandhini in a subtle style. Many Indian blockbusters choose loud tone over subtlety, which I believe works with a large section of the audience. It could be one of the reasons why Ponniyin Selvan garnered mixed talk from the public. The presentation of Nandhini's character entirely differs from Devasena in Baahubali. I'm not trying to demean anyone here because I love both characters. The common thread between the two characters is revenge. They both have to live with their enemies and desires for the downfall of their kingdom. While I had an impact instantly from Devasena, my fascination with Nandhini's character grew slowly because of her political intelligence, I would say. She could charm multiple people including Vandhiyadevan and her husband Paluvettariyar. But a lady like Nandhini doesn't need to get her involved in any adulterous relationship outside the marriage. I like the scene where she avoids meeting Sundara Sola and his wife and remains to observe and envision her childhood image on the throne. It felt like the only goal of Nandhini's character was to sit on Sola's throne from her childhood. A masterpiece craft. Kundhavai was a surprising element in the trailer itself. This character was written, executed, and portrayed well by the team. It's not again I bring Bahubali into the discussion point, but I felt she was as attractive as Sivagami from Bahubali. Kundhavai got magnificent talents for adapting political conspiracies and acting accordingly. The scene where she brings her brother's marriage proposal is a mass entertainer. I felt Maniratnam has always created brilliant shots and subject positions on the screen. The same reflects here as well. When observing the power dynamics between Kundhavai and Nandhini, 1. The pride on Kundhavai's face while she was on an elephant. 2. During the conversation between Kundhavai and Nandhini, changing the camera angles from a top to low angle shot to showcase the power of Kundhavai over Nandhini. These are just Maniratnam things. I felt Vandhiyadevan was like a bridge between the characters and the audience. Karthi was splendid and his scene and dialogues with Nandhini creates a magical seductive condition on screen. I expected wonders for Ponniyin song which glorifies the Sola kingdom through lyrics, but it did a lackluster performance in terms of visuals. I liked his portion in Rakshasa Mama's song. The tone looks like him intruding into the play, like him intruding into the royal chambers. I haven't read Kalki's Ponniyin Selvan, but the actors seem to be a perfect choice on the screen, except for Sundara Sola and Periya Paluvettariyar. I wish Parthiban would be a better choice for the Periya Paluvettariyar's role. Aishwarya and Parthiban would look excellent together, and the lust and foolishness of the character would have worked out better on screen. I like how Maniratnam thinks a big canvas story doesn't need an action sequences or a slow motion elevation shots. His direction skills are top notch in this film. For instance, I like Adhittha Karikalan take this small sword and offers an even bigger one to Vandhiyadevan, indicating his promotion to a bigger or better role. The plot information in the beginning worked very well for me. This is the reason why the multiple character introduction didn't bother me. Initially, I couldn't understand the presence of a comet during Arulmozhivarman's introduction fight. But as per the narration in the beginning, when Aditya Karikalan leaves for Rashtrakoot, Arulmozhi leaves for Sri Lanka. These are two parallel events shown in two different halves wonderfully. After all, I'm not attempting to sound devotional here. The movie has its own flaws. Though the introduction battle reminded me of Gladiator, except for a few visuals in the last fight, the action sequences felt empty and unengaging. When it comes to music, I felt it was well crafted. The sound is very peculiar and evident in all songs, and the versatility in the background score for various characters is very delightful. Though the Devaralan song is filled with peculiar sounds and unique shots, the idea of God possessing the old guy's consciousness didn't work out for me. Pandyas and Sri Lankan emperors tested my patience like the movie tested the patience of few audiences. I wish the second part of Ponniyin Selvan is even more intriguing and also discusses Pungulili's love for Rajaraja Sola, aka Arulmozhivarman. I don't want to sound irrelevant or preachy here, but according to the Indian cinema trade, we now have two eras, the pre-Bahubali era and the post-Bahubali era. Bahubali proved that rich content with commanding technical excellence would do wonders at the box office. But everything cannot be another Bahubali. Apart from visuals, Bahubali has well-written characters and narration. I wouldn't call it a flawless film, but it's definitely a first of its kind in Indian cinema history. I want to recall what Bong Joon-ho mentioned during his acceptance speech in Oscars here.
Once you overcome the 1-inch tall barrier of subtitles, you will be introduced to so many more amazing films.
That's what happened with West Craze over RRR, right? Even though RRR is not a flawless film, if it gets nominated for Oscars, there is a good chance of production companies from the West investing in Indian cinema. If this happens, we might witness a strong Indian regional film in all the crafts on the pan-global market. Today, all this happened because of the appropriate marketing skills exhibited by the Bahubali team. I feel the PS team is lacking in that aspect. They had a brilliant historical drama on their table and they couldn't succeed in promoting it to a maximum range of audiences. Instead of following the Bahubali strategy, I wish Maniratnam team had made this a trilogy with proper action sequences, given the fact that Maniratnam is very much interested in doing action sequences. This way, maybe the interval revelation would be the climax of PS1 followed by a detailed PS2 and PS3. Many friends mentioned that they could have made this a web series instead. It's a valid argument, but I don't think it would grab attention to this level if it were made for Amazon or Netflix. The film successfully pulled Tamil people from different age groups to theaters to watch this epic. It didn't do well in other states because they didn't connect with the film. For instance, Ayirathil Oruvan was a flop movie in Tamil, but the Telugu dubbed version did excellent business. Instead of crossing the language barrier and enjoying the film, some of us still fight over movies on social media. I agree that reading a book to understand a movie may not work out in this case. But when you like a film, you can sit back and research more about the novel, like a Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, and Harry Potter fandom, right? After all, one should also understand that a film can have a collective reception, but to an average viewer, it is always subjective. We all love cinema in different forms. I always like to explore happiness in a dark room with the correct use of light through the projector. Until next time, Thoughts on Screen signing off by saying, you may either like Ponniyin Selvan or hate it, but you can't ignore it.